Hello and welcome back to The Culture Shift with Rosalind Jovan. Our podcast aimed at inspiring the leaders of tomorrow, brought to you by Black Enterprise. Here we like to review the success stories of today's tastemakers to encourage those who dare to dream big. Today, we're going inside the first ever comedy tour for a decorated actress who has been making us laugh and entertaining audiences for over 5 decades. Her new comedy tour, Damn Gina, sees the veteran actress try her multifaceted hand at stand up comedy for the first time in her career. From roles in classic films like House Party to standout leads in fan favorite sitcoms Martin and My Wife and Kids, this screen star will take us for a trip down memory lane to share how her love for being a student and studying the greats has kept her booked, busy, and coming up with comedy material. So join me in welcoming the one and only Tisha Campbell.
What's up, Mama?
I'm doing good. You look gorgeous. You look glowing. You look
Thank you.
happy, vibrant.
I'm choosing joy these days.
Period. Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Really protecting this piece. But you have a lot. There's a reason why you got this smile on your face. You are on a comedy tour, so you are dedicating yourself to making people laugh live and
Making them
in
forget their
person.
problems.
So
Just
tell us about the Damn Gina comedy tour and what inspired you to go on tour.
okay, well, let's talk about the fact that I'm even doing stand-up comedy right now. I know most people look at me as a comedian, but I've only worked with comedians.
Right.
I'm not really a comedian. I come from drama, I come from musical theater, and when I was back in New Jersey and in New York. But I've always wanted to do stand-up. I was super afraid to do it. I mean, afraid. And comedians were always like, you should try. You're a good storyteller. And I was like, no, you just want me to bomb. Um, but, but during COVID isolation, I've been like wanting to do anything and everything that I would hear people say that I couldn't do or no to. And this was always one of them, but this was actually a surprise attack on me. So what had happened was D Nice is a friend of mine who had a residency, a 3-day residency at the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. And at the time, he had Club Quarantine Comedy, the first night, Club Quarantine, and then Club Quarantine Gospel. So I was just going to support him. And it just so happens his host for the comedy night had fallen out. And he had a stellar lineup. It was Gina Yashere, Chris Spencer, Sherry Shepard, Michael Che, amongst a few, right? So I was like, sure, I can. If you want, I can pick people and tell them to come on up and introduce them and stuff. That's no problem. He was like, yeah, do 15 minutes before. And I was like, huh? What? Who? She? Right? So he was like, ah, it's okay. Chris Spencer will help you. I was like, Chris ain't gonna help. He got ADD. So of course I called Chris, right? And Chris goes, ah, just tell a story. And I was like, I knew he wasn't gonna help me.
Right.
But I knew I had to wait until I saw Chris, and Chris was right in front of me. And that was literally 15 minutes before I was supposed to go on. And so I went up there and I wasn't even off the stage yet. It was like probably by the third comedian who I had introduced as I was walking off stage. Chris was on the phone with an agent, and that's how I got my agent Tamara Goins, literally on the stage right then and there. And so, you know what was great about this whole journey is because Tamra, long ago when David Arnold was still alive, rest in peace, she had hooked David Arnold and Kim Whitley up. And because David was a great comedian, really smart, Kim was really good, she also could draw on a crowd. So the two teamed up and she thought of teaming them up and they really enhanced one another. So she thought to put me with Finesse Mitchell, with whom I had already had a rapport with. I had worked with him. He played my husband in a show that we were on and before. And he really took me under his wing. He's been the most amazing mentor. And I'm
Mhm.
so glad. And he's the only one who counts how many times I've been on stage. I don't count, but I've only been on stage 23 times.
Oh, 23.
I listen. I don't count. That's him, right? Because he tells people every night. She's only done this many times, right?
Yes.
But literally, I've grown so quickly. I'm super committed, and he made me audition for him to a certain extent. He's not going to say it was an audition, but I know it was an audition because we met at a coffee shop, and he wanted to see how serious I was and how serious I was going to take it. But I really wanted, me coming into the game, already having an audience,
Yes.
that I didn't have to build up like most stand-up
Yes.
comedians do. I didn't want them to think that I was cheating. I wanted the respect of, you know, the people that, paved the way. This is a really hard thing. It's one of the hardest things I have ever done in my life, but it is so fulfilling. And the reason why it's fulfilling is because, and I say this on stage all the time, there's no camera between us. There's no screen between us. People are getting to know me, not a character or a caricature. They're really getting to know me. And I really tell them about my life. And people are really enjoying it. And
Yeah.
I'm up to like a half hour of material, which is really,
What?
really quick for somebody in my position. But I'm super excited. I'm super excited about
Yes.
the journey.
It
I think I
sounds
just talked your damn head off,
no,
didn't I? I didn't even give you a chance to say a question.
you answered multiple questions within the question. So we did that,
Sorry.
we got that covered. But just even hearing your story of how, you had always kind of had an inkling for it,
Yeah.
but you weren't sure. You knew you were a
I'm
bit nut.
scared.
Yeah, fear. Because come on, stand-up comedy is probably one of the hardest jobs ever.
It's the
Um,
hardest genre I've ever done.
but having already had a thriving career on screen and theater, and then choosing to just kind of pivot and do something completely different out of your out of your norm, but pretty out
Yeah.
of your norm,
Yeah.
it takes guts.
Thank you. Or
So right.
or insanity. One of
So
them.
so so now when you're on stage and you're coming up with material, where are you pulling from? You said you're talking about your life. How much are you filtering, and to what degree? Because you still have to make it funny.
Yeah, I've always kind of been a bit of an open book anyway. And a lot of people don't know a lot about me. I mean, come on. I played a lot of bougie roles, but most people don't know I'm from the projects. And they get to know a lot about my life, and it's really relatable. I'm talking about stuff that everybody can get with and understand and take home and learn from and laugh at. And they're
Yeah.
laughing at themselves, they're laughing at me. It's fun.
Yes.
I don't have a problem being an open book. I don't have a problem talking about the stuff that I talk about.
Yes. I saw the Instagram post you shared the other day that you were reminiscing about your son being a baby. And then you reached out to him, but it was like 5 in the morning in LA and you was on the East Coast. And you said,
Gina, it's 5 in the morning. And I was like,
so
it's him.
it's really,
It's real life stuff. And I think that's what surprises most people because they really get a chance to like get past the facade
yeah.
and they get a chance to know who I am as a person. And I think it's really shocking and surprising. I did Brea improv the other day with Finesse. And I got one of the biggest compliments from the manager there who manages the spot, and he's seen it all. He's seen the great comedians come through before and during and of their rise. Um, and some of the greats still come through there, of course. But he said to me, he said, Tisha, for having doing this for such a short time, you have such a command of the stage. And I was like,
Mm,
you serious? I said, that means a lot coming from you because you've seen it all. And he was like, no, I have seen it all. He
yeah.
says, but it was shocking how you are so relatable to the audience and how you command the mic
Mm,
already. And
mhm.
I just strive to get better and better and better and better. I work on it all the time. I take the notes that Finesse and all the other comedians, like I have such great support from all of the comedians from Lunell to Kim Whitley to Gary G Thing to Dave Chappelle, to everybody, Damon Wayans, everybody's like, go
Yeah.
for it, go for it, go for it. So
That's
I'm very
awesome.
lucky to
Yeah,
have such support. I didn't
period.
know that I would get that coming into the game like that. Honestly, I honestly thought that there would be some people who were like, yeah, you in the wrong lane and you need to get out of my lane, you know?
Mm,
But not one person has treated me that way. But I also think it's because they know that like I'm a good student. I
yes.
want to make sure that I'm doing it the right way and I'm representing, because I've worked with so many people who have come
Yeah.
up, even Miss Pat. Like everybody is like, this is what you got to do, and they're giving me
Wow.
the greatest advice and the most support. So
And
I'm
you're
really
really taking it in.
I'm taking it in, and I'm lucky to have the support.
Yes, yes. So what made you come up with the name? I mean, it's a play off of the
Something,
city.
that was something Finesse did. I wouldn't have even thought of nothing like that. He was like, it's a draw, it's a
When
draw.
you say how your son calls you Gina, I know a lot of people still just call you Gina. Like, is that something that you just
I don't mind when other people call me Gina.
not, not
It's that kid in the other room. But I don't care. Like,
yes.
he's been doing this since he was a little boy, and he doesn't even call me mommy anymore. He doesn't. He doesn't call me
He
mommy.
knows he annoys you. That's hilarious.
Yes,
That
yes, he's doing
is
it on purpose.
so what are you enjoying most about being on a comedy tour, like stand up?
The thing I love the most about being on a comedy tour are the people. Like, even after we do our sets, we do a Q&A after, and then I do meet and greets. I like meeting people. I like talking to people. Um, and it's me going from Virginia to Washington State to Jacksonville and all these different places. And I really get to meet people. And it's amazing. One guy the other day, he had just got out from prison. He was a lifer. He had just done 23 years and he wanted to come see me. And I
Wow.
just thought I was so grateful and thankful. And, he was another one, because this is like the second time I've talked to somebody who happened to be, in prison, and said, you don't understand what you guys do for us inside. You make the time go by.
Mm,
You truly
right.
make the time go by. And that is such a, that you can make people laugh,
Yep.
that you can make people forget their problems, that you can make time go by.
Yes.
That's such a gift.
It
And the
is.
fact that I didn't disappoint him when he met me was a big deal to me. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just meeting the people.
That's beautiful. I mean, also, people have grown with you with your stand up. How are you using it to celebrate your longevity in the game as a multifaceted entertainer? Because when I think of it, I'm like, she got to put some singing in there.
I do
Yeah,
everything.
because it's like you do it all. So it's like we got it. Like, are you celebrating just how much of a
Every facet. I'm
yeah.
learning how to incorporate it, because I want it to still not look disingenuous, like it's just coming out of nowhere. But my ultimate goal, and this is what I told Finesse at my audition, at the coffee shop. I was like, my ultimate goal is to be like Whoopi Goldberg and do a one woman show on Broadway. That's where she kind of started out. And that's what I want to do. I ultimately want to be able to put together an entire show and do it on Broadway. That
Oh, I
would
see
be
that.
bringing me right back around,
Most
full
definitely.
circle to where I started.
Yes, yes. You made mention of some of your friends turning into mentors, and you did mention Damon Wayans. He and his family were recently inducted. Yes, yes. How do you feel about the honor and just the legacy of what the
Oh,
Wayans?
it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
They are such an amazing staple. I mean, come on, they literally created this the halftime show. I mean, they have done so much for our culture, and I'm an honorary Wayans. I already
Yeah,
claimed it. I don't care what they say. My name is Tisha Campbell Wayans. I
sure is.
recently actually went to their set to surprise Damon, to just support them and cheer them on. So
Yes.
I
And you
showed up
said
at
my
the set.
ex-husband
My ex-husband,
and my ex-daughter.
my ex-daughter. Yep, I was there, and I went to see them. It was really nice.
Yes, yes.
I'm
And so,
so proud of Papa's house too. Papa's house.
yes,
Yo,
we're loving Papa's house.
We all love it. And I'm so glad they got picked up. And
Yes.
just every single Wayans is, and the second generation too, from
Yeah.
Shantae and on down, they are so incredibly talented and they just keep carrying the torch. So, I'm a
Yes.
Wayans fan, so of course.
But listen, I want to give you your flowers as well because you are a legend. You've been in you just made so many beloved contributions across
Thank
film and
you.
television. I mean, growing up, I first, knew you, of course, from I would say House Party and then Martin, but it's like for me, they were like kind of hand in hand time wise. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I got a little older and then I would go back and then I'm watching Little Shop of Horrors. I'm like, oh, that's Gina.
And Tichina.
So from Little Shop of Horrors to, Martin, House Party, My Wife and Kids, you really deserve all the flowers.
Thank you.
And when you look back at little Tisha, who, was just dreaming and knowing that you wanted to be a star, what do you tell her now?
Okay, so she never wanted to be a star.
What you want to be?
I wanted to help my family
Oh.
out of their circumstances. That's how I started out. I started out wanting to help my family and helping to pay the bills, helping to pay the phone bills and the rent and everything else. Even though I was really young, I started singing when I was 3 and acting when I was 7. And even though I was really young, I understood where we were and what we needed at a
Mm-hmm.
young age. I mean, I was even going to New York by the time I was 12 years old because my parents was messing up and not getting me through the Lincoln Tunnel on time and making me late for my gigs. So, I had such a commitment to that and it kind of carried through my whole it was the theme of my whole career because I understood that I could start helping people
Yeah.
and that's what I wanted to do. And I'm really blessed that I came from it from that standpoint. I
Yeah.
didn't care about the money. Money wasn't my God. I didn't care about the fame. And you were taught back then not to care
Mm-hmm.
because you always had an understudy right there waiting in the wings.
Mm.
You never really like concentrated on the wins because it was always, okay, what's next? You know what I mean? And then I always had Tichina. People always ask me, like, why were you so like not into that? I had my mother on this side, I had Tichina on the other. So we were all kind of protecting each other.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
when I look at little Tisha, the only thing that I really actually would tell her is start doing some things for yourself
Mm.
because I concentrated so much on others and taking care of others and pleasing others that the decisions that I made weren't necessarily always for me
Right.
and that would make me happy. Now at
Yes.
56 years old,
Oh, and you look good.
at 50,
Where? 56
thank you.
where?
Thank you. At 56 years old, I'm now making decisions for me. I would have never have done this years ago.
Mm.
Never. I didn't.
Yeah.
But now I'm making the decisions for myself and taking chances for myself. So that's where I am.
Yes. And I was hearing that when you were first, the long-winded first answer, I was just hearing that you are in a place where you're doing what you want to do and it's really just bringing you joy.
It's just bringing me so much joy. And
Hence the
touching
glow.
people and talking to people, that brings me joy.
Yes, yes. You mentioned Tashina Arnold. Like it's really just so admiring just seeing you two really carry your friendship.
That bitch thinks she could get rid of me. She's never getting rid of me.
What are just some of the driving factors that have helped to maintain your sisterhood with her over the years?
The driving factors?
Yeah,
Uh,
like
be more specific. Like, what do you mean?
I would say when it comes to my best friend, like it's her loyalty, it's her patience with me, it's her
She ain't got no patience for me. No, our whole lives has been based on supporting one another. Like, even we met on an audition. So when we met as little girls, I was I was 12, she was 11. She likes for me to tell people that because she always wants people to know that I'm older than her. So we met in a circumstance where we were in direct competition with each other, but we didn't care about that. Not with one another. It was always, I want her to get it if I don't get it, and vice versa. And so we would call each other. If the one didn't hear about an audition, the other one will call them and say, yo, there's an audition. Come crash it with me. Did you hear about it? No, come crash it with me. And we would crash each other's auditions just to make sure that other person was aware and had a chance. We both always cheered for each other. We were always each other's cheerleaders. And we always laughed through everything. Everything.
That's beautiful.
So,
yes.
A girl for life.
For life. We always hear about roles that actors, actresses passed up and they later regretted. Is there one that you passed on that you ended up regretting?
I mean, really, not really, because I always look at it as if, you know, what was meant for me was meant for me. There were moments where I was super disappointed, but then I would see the girl that would get it and I'd be like, yeah, she should have got it. Right. That was her all day. You know what I mean? So, no, what was meant for us is meant for us. And that's just how we always looked at it.
Yes, yes. Can you give us your top 3 favorite roles that you've played? Top 3.
Number 1 would have to be, what's the name of the thing I just did? Oh, Lord Jesus. Come on, brain. Pause.
Hold on.
Damn. It was with Neil Patrick Harris.
Yes. I love that show. It was, hold on, because I got to get the name of it too. Because it's like one word.
Yeah, it's Uncoupled.
Yes, Uncoupled. I was like, I knew it was just one word.
I think that was my number 1, only because of the material. And people looked at it as if it was something that I was doing differently. But the way that they wrote my character was so incredibly 3-dimensional.
Yes.
And different. And the rhythm was different. And I embraced every single thing that they wrote for me. I just embraced the rhythm. The rhythm was different. And so that's number 1, I guess. It really is. It was different.
It was such a good show. Hilarious. It was.
And I just thought it was going to do things that I thought Pose would do. Open an audience up to love as it should be.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, and we had, that second season was going to be crazy, but you know, c'est la vie. That's how it works. That's how it goes.
That's the industry. Two more. You got to name 2 more.
I think Wife and Kids and Martin are both on number 2, only because, and I'm only saying that because there was something amazing that both of those characters gave me. Like, I learned so much from both Damon and Martin.
Yes.
Martin was raw. You never knew what he was going to say. So I had to always ground the scenes. I had to figure out and really study the 2 of them. And when it came to Damon, he's like Dave Chappelle, and the comedy intellect is really high. Both give these different types of performances that I learned from. And I noticed that when I'm doing sitcoms, that like with Martin, he tries to find funny between the lines at all times. Damon's is always rooted in realism and something that would truly happen. So I find myself mimicking both of them and combining the 2 whenever I'm doing comedy. And it's really interesting because sometimes it's really hard for people to look past those 2 because they're such great comedians, and people will be nervous to hire me because they don't want to be compared to those 2.
Right.
But that's not how I operate, and that's not how I work. Right. I learn the person that's in front of me. I learn every ism, every tick, how they like to do comedy. I study so that I can support them and dance with them and waltz with them. So you're going to get a different performance from me even being that, I'm trying to enhance whatever that other person is doing.
Wow. I
I
would say
can't tell you a third one. I don't even,
you
you pick one.
smashed two into one.
I did.
But that's three at least.
Some ish.
But I would say a theme that I've gotten from you, and it to me it answers this one of the last questions, which was advice you would give aspiring entertainers. But what I get from you is to never stop learning, always be a student.
Always be a student.
Yeah.
Always be a student. But I think the advice that I usually give to people who are just coming up in this business is please understand the difference between being an artist and a celebrity. Okay. And an artist understands that they're serving others. A celebrity feels like they need to be served.
Mm.
That's how you get caught out there. That's how you lose it. And that's how you will lose it. I've watched so many people lose so much. And that's the advice I would give. It's understanding that we are communicators of God's word. That's the bottom line. We are, because he's given me a gift to make people laugh or cry or forget their problems or just think. And it has been my honor to serve you guys for 53 years now. When you think about it like that.
Wow.
Like an actor's career lifespan is usually only about 5 years.
Yeah.
If you think about it, you get a good 5-year run and that's it. Just like with most football players,
yeah, athletes,
you get 2-year run maybe, or if you last more than that, so right. It is, I am humbled that people still want to hear from me. And then doing this new journey has been one of the greatest things that I've ever tried to do, other than raising these two boys over here.
I love it. I'm here for you. The Damn Gina comedy tour is touring right now.
That's right.
Across the country. And I know you got some other stuff coming up because I saw you posting photos on set and videos and stuff. So
I think I could talk about one of them.
Oh, yes, please.
Oh no, I could talk about both of them. Well, I have a movie coming out on the All Black AMC networks, and that one's called Operation Aunties. This menopausal brain be messing with me, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get it out. Operation Aunties with Melissa DeSosa. And it was directed by Wendy Raquel Robinson. Wow. Great directress. Wow. And then I kept running into Miss Pat because she very rarely makes it to Hollywood. But when she is in town, I just kept running into her. And I kept saying to Miss Pat, I was like, when you gonna let me come play? When you gonna let me come play? I wanna come play. And she has me on the show this year. You're an exclusive, by the way.
Listen, I'm so excited to hear this and share this. And so, yeah, you are in your comedy bag.
I'm in my comedy bag.
Period. I'm here for it. Thank you so much, Tisha.
Thank you.
It's really been an honor. And yes, I can tell you're just such a vibrant, loving person. And that's also why you have a lot of people in your corner rooting for you in this new chapter.
I appreciate that so much. Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you, baby.
Okay, bye.